Hey guys, I'm going to make a quick video on something that I thought was kind of common sense to have, but I'm realizing the more people I talk to, um, they don't have an emergency fund. Now, when I was younger, yeah, emergency fund wasn't really something that we ever talked about. But as I'm going through life and getting older and older, stuff happens. You're going to need an emergency fund. And I don't know about your emergencies, but my emergencies usually come without notice. You know, they can come in the form of getting injured at work. You can lose your job, car accident. There's a number of things, pretty much anything that can happen. And for something that can impact your earning potential on a dime, you're going to want to have something in the bank to cover for that. And as you may or may not know, Caleb Hammer, what does he always say? Not having an emergency fund is an emergency. Now, there's a lot of different perspectives on what constitutes as an emergency fund, how much should be an emergency fund. There is Dave Ramsey, who will tell you that he wants you to just get together $1,000 and then use everything else you have to pay off your debt. Well, for me, $1,000, I'm going to need a little more than that. There's some extremes out there that don't want you to start paying off any debt whatsoever unless you have a 6-month emergency fund. Well, it might take a long time to get a 6-month emergency fund. Myself, I kind of try to go in between, do a little bit of moderation. I go with a 3-month emergency fund. Then there are some people that just like to do a 1-month emergency fund. So for me, my idea is a 1-month emergency fund. Let's use the example of losing your job. Well, if you lose your job, then you have to take time to obviously look for another one. However long that's going to take. And then you have to go to the interviews for that job. Then you have to get hired for that job. And then you have to get trained for that job, which could be, a couple weeks, couple months, changes from job to job. And then you have to wait to start getting your direct deposit set up and then have it actually put into your bank account. So, 1 month from losing your job to getting another one to getting paid on your first paycheck is probably going to be longer than a month. So I would like to have a 3-month emergency fund, like I said before. And as far as Dave Ramsey's $1,000 that he has you save right away, that can get wiped out in a day if you get into a car accident or go to a hospital visit. It's definitely not enough for me. Next, after you've decided how much you actually want to save for your emergency fund, it's time to get that money. So what you want to do is put your money that you're going to be saving in this savings account in a high yield savings account. Now there's many banks that offer high yield savings accounts. Originally I went with Wells Fargo, but their high yield savings account sucked. So I currently use Ally Bank, and that gives me 4.35 APY on my money, just having it sit there. So usually for your emergency fund, you're hopefully not going to use it, every day. It's just going to be there for an emergency. Now, if it's going to sit there, I'd also like for it to work for me. So getting that high yield savings percentage and getting it built just by sitting there, it's a great idea. And then to start building this, just couple extra bucks here and there that you have lying around the house. If you get, money for your birthday or money for Christmas, anything like that, just any money that you weren't planning on having, put it away. Eventually you'll get to your savings account. Another thing you could do is go around your house. See things that you don't really use anymore. Any clothes you might not need. If you had a game console that you haven't, touched in 3 years and don't really need, you can put it on Facebook Marketplace. There's things around the house that most people don't use 24/7 or might not need. Everybody loves space. Get rid of it. Make some space. Another thing that I had After growing up and getting out of the house, I had a bunch of wall art, a lot of pictures, big pictures that didn't really feel like dragging around with me whenever I was moving from apartment to apartment. Turns out some of them sold for like $50, some $100. Another one was $150. You know, little things like that you can get a few bucks from. Mostly how you're going to get your money is through your 9 to 5, job. You're going to save, you're going to cut back on some of your spending. You're going to say, hey, instead of maybe paying this debt down or throwing a couple more dollars towards your mortgage, you're going to put it into a high yield savings account, and it's going to be used as a savings, as an emergency fund. You're going to like having that extra money there when you need it, and when you don't need it, it's still going to be growing for you. So there's really no downside to this. So all in all, I guess what I'm saying is just please have an emergency fund for yourself, especially if you have a family. You're going to want something there when things don't turn out the way you expect. And like I said before, it's almost always going to be unexpected. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I changed your mind on having an emergency fund if you don't already have one. And if you do, good job. You're ahead of the game. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.